How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's having a great weekend so far. Today was day 4 of Green Bay Packers training camp. Yesterday's practice was basically a jog through, not much happened. Today was a more upbeat practice. It was beautiful out there in Green Bay, and I have a lot of highlights to react to and break down for you guys. If you guys are a new viewer here, I'd really suggest going down and clicking subscribe if you love everything Green Bay Packers. I post multiple videos every single day the Packers practice during training camp, including videos just like this, the highlights from the practices, as well as a recap video I'll put out right after this one as practice ends. So if all of that interests you and you want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers, definitely go down, click subscribe, and also if you could just leave a like on the video, it helps out my channel a ton. I appreciate you guys. All right, so like I said, there are a lot of clips to go over today, so without further ado, let's waste no more time and bring up the highlight screen. And in this first clip, we have Jordan Love throwing a pass, a quick screen to Christian Watson. Nothing crazy there. Catch the ball and get upfield. So with Jordan Love and Christian Watson, it seems like right now Romeo Doubs and Jordan Love is kind of that connection that's firing on all cylinders right now. I'm hoping Jordan Love and Christian Watson will start to get on that page. Obviously, Doubs more of that possession guy, Watson more of that deep threat guy, but Love's going to have to, really build a nice rapport with Christian Watson, because I think a lot of this offense can be centered around him in terms of having a deep threat like Christian Watson. Plus, Watson's ability is just crazy, so, I do think he's going to take a nice second-year jump here. Here's another clip of Christian Watson running a quick slant, and the one thing I will say, and I mentioned this during OTAs and minicamp, and yeah, the pads aren't on. They do come on Monday, by the way. Watson looks a lot better in and out of his breaks on slant routes, dig routes, out routes, whatever it may be, comebacks and stuff like that. It just looks like he's more crisp in terms of the top of his route here. He's not beating the drum too much. He's taking one plant down into the dirt and breaking through that route and powering through the middle of the field here on this quick slant. Nice job catching the ball with his hands, bringing it into his body and cutting upfield. So it looks like he's definitely fine-tuning his craft in terms of the route running, and that's exactly what he needs to do. Like, if Christian Watson can become a premier route runner, I don't think anyone in the NFL can stop this guy. Now here we have a clip of Romeo Doubs running like a double move, a quick curl into a comeback. Really love that route. And one thing I've been very impressed with Romeo Doubs this offseason so far is his route running. And he showed promise of that last year. Like, he was definitely a very good route runner, but it seems like he's been doing a lot of footwork work this offseason, and it's definitely showing, because he looks super fast on his feet in these routes. And again, the pads aren't on. Pads will be on Monday, so we'll start to see how these receivers look with the pads on, but I don't think much will change for Romeo Doubs when the pads come on. I mean, this guy seems very quick on his feet. He's making very direct cuts, very meticulous steps and cuts, and really nice route here. I love that route, by the way, because you're running a curl double move. Most DBs are going to think you're going to be running vertical after that double move curl, and then to break that right back into a comeback, a lot of times you'll be wide open. Here's second-round rookie wide receiver Jayden Reed doing the same drill. Man, he just looks so shifty. Like, I loved watching his tape at Michigan State, watching this dude run routes. He reminds me of like a veteran slot receiver at this point. And I think A.J. Dillon said it in his press conference yesterday. He said, no discredit to Randall Cobb, but Jayden Reed reminds him a lot of like prime Randall Cobb. And that's a very good compliment to get as a rookie wide receiver. And I 100% agree. I believe Jayden Reed will be that slot wide receiver for the Packers. But like I say all the time, this guy can do so many things. He can play outside, can play in the slot. We saw that one highlight a couple days ago, him being their end-around reverse guy, so he can do that as well. Super excited for Jayden Reed in this offense, especially when the pads come on and all of that. Just looks really nice here. Just very meticulous steps, and he does a really good job of basically selling his head, hips, shoulder pads, all of that, and it just seems like very direct with his routes, and he's getting to the exact point he needs to be. Here's another clip of Jayden Reed running a post here, and he just does a really good job at selling his body. Like, every time I watch this guy run a route, like, you see his head, his hips, his shoulder pads going to the outside of that coach there. That's playing a defensive back per se, like kind of an off-coverage defensive back. So he's kind of selling, okay, I'm going to go vertical, and then he breaks that in on a post there. He sets up that very nicely. Like I said, small things like that with just your body movements, head fakes, shoulder fakes, and all that. Jayden Reed just does it so smooth. Here's a clip of second-year wide receiver Samori Toure. Man, the route running today is just crisp in today's practice, and Samori Toure is surprisingly the oldest wide receiver on this roster, which is just insane to say considering he's a second-year player, 7th-round draft pick last year at Nebraska. I was really, really high on him last year. Watching his tape at Nebraska, I was like, how was this guy a 7th-round draft selection? It made no sense. I mean, the dude killed Ohio State. Like, that's not easy to do. They didn't have the best defensive backfield last year, or 2 years ago, excuse me, but it's still hard to do. And Toure did it because he's such a meticulous route runner. Like, when I watched his tape, he did everything by the book, and that's why I really was high on him. And going into this year, Jason Brable's high on him. Everyone's saying he looks a lot stronger, and right now he is my wide receiver 4. So Tay Wicks is still out with a concussion, hasn't really been practicing much at all. I think he was out all of minicamp as well, or most of it. So, and he's a rookie as well, but Samori Toure has a year in the system, has snaps in this offense from last year, and I think the Packers really like him. So right now, Samori Toure is that wide receiver 4, and I think he could get snaps in the slot, week 1, week 2, kind of like, switching out with Jaden Reed when he needs to. Really high on Samori Toure. Here's undrafted free agent Malik Heath running the same thing here on a quick slant. I think 2 days ago, he had his first bad day of practice, had multiple drops and whatnot. So we'll see what happens when the pads come on and the continuance of training camp. How Malik Heath keeps playing, because he is definitely fighting for that number 6 wide receiver spot right now. So we'll see between him, Bo Melton, Grant DuBose, if DuBose returns, if and when he returns, who will secure that 6th spot. Someone who could also fight for that 6th spot is their new wide receiver Cody Kress, with a really nice, this is in slow-mo, you love slow-mo in training camp, a really nice one-handed catch here, so showing his hands ability here, and he is a very athletic, fast wide receiver, so we know the Packers love those type of guys. So if he blows up in training camp when the pads come on and gets a couple touchdowns in preseason, there is definitely a chance this guy could end up being that 6th wide receiver. I mean, there's just so much competition on the back end of that wide receiver room. Everyone's so young, so new to the NFL. So it's going to be a battle, and I love that. I love competition in the wide receiver room. I love watching all these wide receivers go to work. It's my favorite thing to watch, if you haven't been able to tell already, is wide receivers. So nice catch here by new wide receiver Cody Kress with a nice one-hander there. So here is a very interesting clip of Keyshawn Nixon working with the wide receivers in wide receiver drills. So that was a big thing today that a lot of people were talking about. Keyshawn Nixon is starting to work in drills with the wide receivers. And we've heard this in months past, or like the last year, of Nixon saying, hey, let me get some reps on offense to Matt LaFleur, pretty much joking about it. And I think Matt LaFleur has joked back about it. But the fact that he's actually working with the wide receivers in practice means there might be some possibility that he ends up getting some snaps on offense. If the Green Bay Packers can write up a play to try to throw a touchdown pass to David Bakhtiari, they can certainly add Keyshawn Nixon into this offense. I think that's a lot better of an option than throwing a pass to David Bakhtiari. Nixon shows great athletic ability. I mean, the dude is so good on kick return, so obviously he's good with the ball in his hands. So even if you give him a jet sweep, a quick screen, or whatever that may be, a bubble screen, I think this dude can do a lot of good in the offense if they want to create certain packages for him. So really nice to see him getting the work here, and it looks like he's doing quick screen drills. So if he is in the offense, that's what he's going to be doing. Here's a clip of tight end Josiah DeGuara doing a blocking drill out of the H-back role, the main role he's been, since coming to here in Green Bay. I think he'll still be that role. They'll still use him as that H-back guy, as a blocker, as a receiver out of the backfield, but I think they're going to use him in multitude of different ways as well. Whereas the last couple of years, they still had Mercedes Lewis, Robert Tonyan, so there was really no room for him to get snaps in line and stuff like that. Like, he did on occasion, but not much. I think that'll change this year. Obviously with new tight ends, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, they have a lot to learn, a big learning curve, where DeGuara has been in the system for years now. So I think he'll get snaps mainly at H-back, but they'll also use him in line, maybe even the slot some points and things like that. I think he has a lot of versatility, so hyped to see Josiah DeGuara this year. And speaking of tight ends, here is Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft doing a blocking drill. You can definitely see the power difference with Tucker Kraft. Now, obviously, Tucker Kraft is the one doing the blocking drill, and Musgrave's kind of just, moving with him, but Tucker Kraft is definitely a stronger tight end than Luke Musgrave. This guy was a really nice blocker in college, where Musgrave is definitely really raw. They've had their issues so far with blocking in camp. Definitely Musgrave, I think he's gotten beat a few times. It's definitely a learning curve. Both these guys are going to have to go through these drills, practice hard, and learn to block for this Packers offense, because we know how much the Packers love their blocking tight ends, their blocking wide receivers. So if you're going to be on that offense, you're going to have to block, and Tucker Kraft is really good at it. So I want to see, how good Luke Musgrave can get in that regard as well. Here's a clip of Luke Musgrave catching a ball, kind of like a quick slant here, out of like the out wide position. So this is where I think we're going to see Luke Musgrave a lot in the slot out wide. They're going to move him around so much. They've already been doing it during training camp, and Jordan Love has looked his way multiple times already. So it seems like he has been getting a lot of starts. Today, I believe it was Musgrave and Kraft with the start in the 12 personnel, where in days past, it's been Musgrave and DeGuara in the 12 personnel. So maybe they're running DeGuara mainly in the H-back today, and they're trying Kraft and Musgrave at starting tight ends. But one constant is Musgrave has been starting at tight end like most days, so it looks like he may be like tight end 1, but like I said, there's no real tight end 1 in this offense when they're running 12 personnel so much, and sometimes even 3 tight ends on the field if you're going to have DeGuara at H-back and 2 tight ends on the line. So, he's been getting a lot of starts, and he's been looking really good as well. Here's another clip of Luke Musgrave on a quick stop route thrown by Jordan Love. Moves really nimble, nice breakdown, drop of the hips, basically driving back into that route there. Nice catch with his hands, and then obviously getting upfield. Here's the same thing, but with Tucker Kraft, and I believe it's going to be Sean Clifford throwing that ball. Also, nice ran route there. Nice job grabbing his hands and cutting upfield. Tucker Kraft has like the angriest run I've seen in a very long time. Like when this dude has the ball in his hands, he just looks angry when he's running the football. Like in his college tape, always looked angry when he was in open field, which I love that. The dude has like a lot of strength and aggression. So I just want to see certain plays this year where guy has the ball in his hand with like 10 yards open field, and he's just running super angry and just runs over someone. That's what I can't wait to see. Tucker Kraft, is going to be used in the receiving game as well. He's not just a blocking tight end. The dude's so versatile. He's like a jack of all trades type of tight end. Here's a clip of the star of training camp so far, Jair Alexander, doing a back pedal drill there, super smooth hips. I mentioned it yesterday. No injury scare anymore. 2 days ago, he had kind of an injury scare. Yesterday, we saw him back at practice, and again, we're seeing him here. So obviously, no problem there. Super glad for that. He's been doing really good in camp so far. Here's a clip of Darnell Savage doing a back pedal drill and then breaking down on a ball here over the shoulder. Nice job adjustment, going from one shoulder to the other. It's not an easy thing to do. Matt LaFleur mentioned today, once the pads come on, they're going to be rotating safeties a lot. So during all of OTA's minicamp and so far of training camp, it's always been Darnell Savage and Rudy Ford with the ones at safety. So Matt LaFleur basically said today, once the pads come on, they're going to be rotating a lot of those guys. Tarvarius Moore, Donald Levitt, John Owens, just seeing what they have in all of these safeties. So Darnell Savage, he's in a contract year, obviously getting paid a lot more than he should be with that 5th-year rookie option. But, without a bounce back year, this is likely his last year in Green Bay. So he's really, all or nothing right now. And I'm just hoping Savage can definitely bounce back here. Here's Tarvarius Moore doing the same drill, a veteran safety they signed over the offseason. This team is very young, losing Adrian Amos, a key veteran in that defensive backfield. The Packers might look to play Tarvarius Moore because, he's a veteran. He has a lot of snaps in the NFL, also has a lot of experience on special teams. So if he doesn't see snaps on defense, he's going to be seeing snaps on special teams. He was out with an illness a few days ago, but he's been back, and like I said, is going to get rotated with all the other safeties once them pads come on Monday. Here we have a clip of Keyshawn Nixon, and this dude's been wearing a hoodie every day of practice, and it's been extremely hot. So, I don't know how you're doing it, but I don't know how Keyshawn Nixon does half the things he does. We saw him already with the wide receivers, now with the defensive backs. I mean, this dude just does it all. And here's Nixon working on punt returns. So we know he's going to be our kick return 1. Kind of an unsure right now who our punt return is going to be. I think it's between Nixon and Jaden Reed, but if Nixon's going to be playing on defense at that nickel corner spot, I'm not sure if they're going to run him at punt return because, they're going to want to keep him fresh for defense. So I'm thinking it might be someone like Jaden Reed or Samori Toure. There's a lot of options there. I know kick returns today, they worked with Reed, Nixon, and Aaron Jones. I don't think Aaron Jones is ever going to have to return kicks. He's more of on the hands team. So it's been years past where we see him practicing kick returns, but never in a season. That doesn't happen. So it's mainly going to be Keyshawn Nixon and Jaden Reed, in my opinion. And I think Jaden Reed might end up being the punt returner, but we'll see what happens. And then finally, we have a clip of Kenny Clark here. Man just comes to work every day and just works his tail off. I mean, this dude has been, so good for the Packers defense in the past, God knows how many years at this point. I think he came into the league at 20 years old. He's still only like 26, 27 years old, which is insane. Definitely an all-pro caliber player, the best defensive lineman we have. And when Kenny Clark's on fire, I mean, this defense is firing on all cylinders, and defense is a lot better when Kenny Clark's up, playing to his top level. So definitely very important for Kenny Clark to have another good year for this defense. But those are all the clips I have from day 4 of Packers training camp. It was a much busier day than it was yesterday. The Packers are off tomorrow on Sunday, and then we all get ready for Monday when the pads come on. Super excited for that day, for the pads to come on. So definitely be on the lookout for those videos Monday. But that about does it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.